know we are live because it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon, Central Daylight Time. John Russell here. I'm stuck at home. You're stuck at home. Guess who else is stuck at home? Julie Bane. Good afternoon, Julie. Julie Bane, you may know. Many of you know she ran the open mic at the Joke Joint Comedy Club for many, many years. Really, how many years do you think you did that?
7-ish.
7 years. 7 years is a long time at an open
I know.
mic, for God's sakes. And we'll talk about that a little bit. You've also got a video podcast very similar to this that you do with one of your friends who is an author called League of Funny. And so, folks, you want to go out and check that out as well. There's Ryan Schmidt. It's not a cheetah. Those are Ryan. Good to see you, buddy. Those are all giraffes. There are no cheetahs today. A lot of people want to know, wow, well, what do you got in your background today, John Russell? This is the giraffe play yard at the Cheyenne Zoo. So for those of you that are curious what's going on, that's what that is. We're happy to have you all here. One thing I want to do, Julie, before we get too far is, I don't know if you knew her. You probably did. Jenny Haynes apparently passed away, and she was all like I didn't know her that well, but I know she was a very sweet woman, and the last time this is because I'm not connected to the Minneapolis comedy scene, I mean I'm just not. I'm not into that. But the last time I saw her was at Gus Lynch's funeral, so that's how connected to the comedy scene I am. But I was outside and she came up and gave me a hug, and I said, thanks, Jenny. And she says, oh my gosh, you remember my name? And I'm like, well, yeah, because you made an impression. You're a nice person. So for everybody that's out there that is mourning her passing, I'm right there with you. Anyway, so let's get to talking. Julie Bane, how are you holding up in the quarantine?
I feel like I'm living my best life. Like, this is ideal situation for me where I can't leave the house because I always want to be at home anyways. So I feel like things are great for me.
Well, perfect.
It's bad for everyone else, but I love it.
So, you stay home? Does your husband Carter do all the shopping then?
No, like I still go out and go. You mean in regular life or like now?
Well, like now.
Oh, no, I've been ordering groceries and just picking them up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hi, Riak. Good to see you. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks to all of you for tuning in there. Let me put up a little banner. There we go. Say hello, please, as you're coming in. Anything different for you during this quarantine time? I mean, do you find you're doing anything different? Are you reading more books? Are you watching more TV?
Not really. My husband's been working from home.
Okay.
So I'm getting mansplained to a lot, which is nice. Like about how to load the dishwasher from someone that doesn't normally load the dishwasher. So that's really fun. Yeah. So that's exciting.
Oh gosh. Well, we gotta make sure that gets done the proper
Right?
way.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh. So one thing I know is that we've got you scheduled to headline down at Goonies Comedy Club in August, and hopefully that date will hold for us. I know I mentioned to you my scheduled date is June the 6th. I'm worried that that's not going to happen, but that's regardless. That's beside the point. We're excited that you're going to be there.
Yeah, I'm excited too.
But that leads to the question: Julie? What started you with your interest in comedy?
So I started by taking an improv class, and then a person I met in improv, Samelia, who's like the funniest person I know, she was going to do the Acme contest. So I was like, yeah, I'll try that too. So I was like, I just wanted to like do stand up, realize I suck at it, and then like move on with life and be like, all right, I give it a shot. So I signed up for it, and then she backed out, and then I wanted to back out. My husband's like, you can't. Like, even if you stood there for 90 seconds, awkwardly. Like people will laugh at you. So just you're gonna do 90 seconds or 3 minutes of comedy. So I did. And then the feature that night, who was Doug Millard, he's like, you have to keep doing this. Like you did a great job and give it another shot. And I ran the light. Like I'd never been on stage before. Didn't even see the light. Like had no idea what was going on. Totally ran my time. So I took Doug's advice, but it took me like another year to get back on stage and give it another shot. And then I found the Joke Joint workshop, so I started going there.
And Ken Reed actually is one of your big supporters, right? Ken Reed that you still own, Ken and Becky that own the Joke Joint.
Yep, and Rachel. Rachel was
And
my
Rachel,
mom.
yep. Big
Yep.
supporters of yours. In fact, they put you in charge of the open mic.
Yes.
And so I assume that you probably felt about the open mic at the Joke Joint the same way I feel about the open mic at Goonies. Kind of a love-hate relationship, yes?
Yes. The first 8 weeks that I ran open mic, I cried every single week because you couldn't make everyone happy, and I was just leaving in tears. I'm like, why am I doing this? Like, this is like people didn't get the time they want, or some people didn't get on stage, and I was just like, I don't know why I'm putting myself through this. Like, this is insane.
It's one of those things where, yes, you're right. I used to, because I live in the Twin Cities,
Yep.
and I started in Rochester, and so I would drive down to Goonies every week on Thursday, and it's like an hour drive.
Yep.
And I would have that feeling, oh God, I gotta go do open mic. And then I'd get down there and I'd be like, oh man, I gotta do open. And then we'd start to be like, hey, I'm doing open mic.
Yeah.
And then it'd be over like, son of a bitch. That sucked. So, but the cool part is that it helps, for me, it helped me learn a lot about coming up with or trying to come up with new material quickly. And it also helped me learn a lot more about the business. Did you kind of feel like you learned more about the business running the open mic?
I did, and also getting to meet all the comics that came through. I felt like you learned something from everyone, especially like headliners. If they'd come in early, sometimes they'd come to open mic. So that was always fun to get to meet new people from out of town.
Absolutely. Now, do you recall, because I know that you have many from Joke Joint because I've heard some of them. Do you have any memories of the worst act that ever performed at the open mic at Joke Joint?
Oh, there was. So when I first started going to Joke Joint, when it was at the Thunderbird Motel, is that what it was called?
Yep.
Over in Bloomington?
Yep.
So there was a guy who came to workshop right when I had first started going, and he was a musician, but he was like super defensive, and he got on stage, he couldn't take feedback, and then he just like threw the mic and like stormed off and left, and we never saw him again. And I was like, what is going on? Like, why is this such a big deal for this dude? So there's things like that where you're just like, why is that a thing that you need to do? But I'm trying to think of like the worst act I've ever seen. I can't think of anyone. I'm sure I'll think of one as we go on, but I can't think of one right now.
Well, whenever and by the way, there's my mother checking in, and she'll have her review of you afterwards, Julie. I'm sure you're doing fine so far. My favorite, and this happened recently at Goonies. My favorite worst act, and there were plenty of them. Was a young man who wasn't getting, and I wasn't there, so I heard this secondhand. If Andy Fisher is watching, he can pipe in and give more detail. But there was a young man who was not doing great, was not doing well, and decided that it'd be a great time to drop his pants down to the skin. And so he's not allowed back there anymore.
Was that an open mic or an actual?
Oh, it was open mic.
Oh, okay, I was gonna say, I thought you meant like an actual like.
Yeah, I would say by the time you get paid to do comedy, you figure, you might as well leave your clothes on.
Exactly.
Can't hurt if you do that. I mean, you can bomb, but keep your pants on, man.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's it is. And it now a Joke Joint, have you had the opportunity to open for some bigger names because of your affiliation running the mic?
I don't know that I opened for any like really big names. I feel like with JoJo, like and it hasn't even been gone that long,
Yeah.
but it almost seems like such a distant memory, because you're like doing it every single week and then all of a sudden you're like, not. So maybe it's just that I haven't been doing comedy for so long now that like my mind's blank. Maybe it's just my head's filled up with TV shows.
Oh, that
I
might be.
can't think about anything comedy related.
So what TV shows are you watching? What are you binging on right now?
So we're into season 3 of Ozark.
Okay.
I just started Little Fires Everywhere last night
Hmm.
with Reese Witherspoon and Kerry Washington.
Okay. What's that about?
So good. Um, it's about a fire. It starts off with a fire, and we're
It's
trying to
just a
figure
little
out.
fire, I bet, huh?
Yeah, little fires everywhere in their big mansion, as the name implies.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Um, so you mentioned it's been a long time since you've done comedy. Do you recall what was the last show that you did before all the walls came tumbling down with this?
The last show I did was at the Poorhouse. I emceed for Maggie Ferris
Oh,
and Ellie Hino.
oh, very nice.
And
And
before that, we were getting a show off the ground at Jackpot Junction that we did. We kicked that off on Thanksgiving with Thozer and David Harris.
yeah,
And then that was November. And then in January, it was Colleen and Ellie. And then March, it was supposed to be Maggie and Mo, but it got canceled because of the virus. So
yeah,
hopefully
yeah.
that'll pick up again after.
Well, that's too bad.
Yeah.
Ryan Schmidt, yes, Ozark is awesome.
Okay.
It is. Um, so, have you found that as you've progressed, hey, Maureen McManus Porth, Maureen went to high school with me, uh, and I won't say when we graduated because that would be unfair to Maureen. Good to see you, Maureen. Thanks for looking in. So, would you say as you've progressed in comedy that you find yourself a little bit more involved in getting in producing shows, or the business side of it more?
I don't know that I've gotten this, just kind of fell into my lap.
Yeah,
So I figured, I mean, what the heck? Sometimes casino shows are so horrible.
yeah,
Like there'll be like 4 people and you're just like, why am I doing this? But the 2 shows that we had were amazing. I mean, considering we started on a Thanksgiving, we had like 30 people there. Yeah, so it's just a different challenge in comedy, and I kind of like seeing how that plays out.
absolutely. And casino shows can be great, or they can be terrible. And it depends on whether the casino is behind you or not, and they really want it to succeed. If they want it to succeed, it will, because they definitely have the people that are there. And if they don't want it to succeed, then you got your 4 people, and I can guarantee you that if they offer free meal as part of your pay,
Yeah,
it's not necessarily, it's not always, I mean, but a lot of times it's not going to be a great show.
yeah. Jackpot they've been phenomenal, and we do get free food.
Well, yeah.
And yeah,
I probably, and this is interesting, I probably have performed at, I would say, other than casinos, I would probably say casinos have been 40% of the shows that I perform at,
oh
which
really?
is insane. But I think I look more like people that hang out at casinos than most people. It's like, hey, he looks like he just lost all his money and is just waiting to get back on the bus to go home, which many times is true. So let's talk a little bit, Julie, about some of your. I know what I was going to ask, and I always ask this, and I never. Have you done any of the virtual open mics or not yet?
I have not. No.
Oh, you haven't. Oh,
Have you?
Maureen would go to the Comedy Cellar. Absolutely, comedy is awesome. Comedy Cellar is one of the meccas for anybody that performs up in New York, and absolutely, there are also meccas in the Midwest that some of us who are not travel challenged perform That's regardless. That's regardless. So you haven't done any of the open mics. Have you watched any of them?
No.
You haven't even watched them?
I feel like when this is over, I'll be like, yeah, I guess I could do comedy again, but maybe I just stay home and watch TV full time.
Well, you could do that. I mean, I'm not discouraging it. I know it's going to be a lot harder for us to get work
Yeah,
because the whole trickle down, since all the doors are closed, we're all going to be having a hard time.
yeah.
Uh,
And my ideal comedy show would be if people just came to my house so I didn't have to leave. Like, I don't care if it's 5 people in my basement. That'd be ideal for me.
I'm going to start. I'm thinking of starting to maybe mail out some jokes.
That'd be awesome.
You know,
Just
it's
do
like,
it randomly though, so that nobody knows where it came from. It's kind of like those old like chain letters where you like put someone's name on the bottom and then you send it to the person on top and then add your name and then you should do that.
that'd be fun.
It would be.
Actually.
When
But
I did the show with Maggie Ferris a couple months ago, she's selling fortune cookies that say, I think they might say like "Go F yourself" or something like that. And there were some guys that came up afterwards, and she was talking, so I was selling them fortune cookies. They were actually going to mail them to relatives
oh my gosh.
from different area codes, so they didn't know where they were coming from, which I thought was amazing.
Oh my
Can you
gosh.
imagine getting a fortune cookie that tells you that to go F yourself, and then you have no idea who's.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, Maureen, it's an odd change here. Pour us all a drink, make you laugh. You know what? I'm going to try to, I'm thinking about starting to do a quarantine cooking show.
Cooking show?
Yeah. In
That'd
fact,
be amazing. Do you like to cook, or is it?
no, I hate to cook, but I want to show you the intro because the intro kicks ass. Here's the intro. Now all I got to do is come up with some content.
That is amazing. Did you make the intro?
Yeah.
That is amazing. I
Yeah.
love it.
This is the interesting thing. I mean, hi Carolyn, good to see you. You just got a letter from the Board of Health. I hope it's good news. Quarantine, yes, Maureen, absolutely. I hope it's good news, Carol. Carol watches every day, Julie, and she's over in Kenosha,
Nice.
Wisconsin. And I hope it's good news from the Board of Health. I hope you don't got to leave because that would suck. Now the thing about me doing a cooking show is that I've had to cooking meth. Well, that goes without saying, Ryan. They want you to shower. Carol's been neglecting the showers apparently. That's what you do in Kenosha. That's it's Wisconsin. No, I've learned I have to make do because I'm not a great cook, and so I try to fancy stuff up.
Are you gonna do it like chop style, where you just grab make it into something?
Well, honestly, that's kind of how I have to do it anyway. I mean, but it's like so like I have different things. It's like, and part of it's budgetary. So like I get the Bar S bologna, because that's $1 for a pound, right? But
That's a real brand.
It is Bar S. Look it up.
It sounds like a ranch name,
Maybe that's where the cow come from.
Oh, I was guessing maybe horse. Maybe it was like.
Could be horse, could be cow, could be any one of the. One of the reasons I also get it is because I think it's also partially vegan because I don't think there's a whole lot of horse or cattle in it. For $1 a pound, I mean it can't be that great because somebody's got to make some money off of it. Anyway, point being, to fancy it up, I like to put it on ciabatta buns.
Nice.
And it's like I have to when I eat it, I have to lift my pinkies up.
Feels very. You cut it in little tea sandwich sizes.
Oh,
so it looks very.
I mean,
noble.
I guess I could, but I don't because it's just the circle of bologna fits so well on the square of the ciabatta bun that I hate to mess with God's geometry.
Perfect.
Food geometry is a perfect. I love the way that you coughed the proper way and didn't infect anybody.
Oh, sorry. Did you make your intro on StreamYard?
No,
Oh,
I made my so here's the thing, and people don't realize this. I've been doing these kind of live stream things for over a year,
really?
and yeah, nobody likes olive loaf, Carol. Nobody likes it. I mean, nobody that I know.
That sounds
Um,
very fancy, olive loaf.
it's well, it looks fancy and it's colorful, but it's yucky. Um, so I've been doing this, and so basically, I'm if anybody's interested in StreamYard, I'm more than willing to help you out. And there are a lot of other little things that you can do with StreamYard. For example, you can play up to a 5 minute video. That's how I do that. So I go and make the videos, the little intros, in another couple of different programs. There are different. Let's see if I got any here. There are different overlays that I can put in there. Like for example, I can put that one on there, but it's it's nice, but and that type of thing. But they're all also third party apps, so you can make the thing and then use it in the. I don't know. This is getting boring to me.
No, you know what? I'm going to start doing a live stream, and it's called "What's CPAP Happening?" And
Oh, nice. There's
I'm just
Julie.
gonna wear my CPAP and do stuff.
Yes.
So
There's
that
Wendy. There's Wendy Mayberry. Hello, Wendy Mayberry. Always happy to see you. By the way, go out and buy,
yeah,
pre-order Wendy's album. She's not from around here, and I'm telling you, it's really good. Uh, she wants to know about everything.
yeah, she wants to know about badge bunnies. Badge bunnies. Well, Wendy knows this. Badge bunnies are a real thing. They're cop chasers, and they're out of their minds.
Well, let's first of all, yes, what's CPAP happening? I love it. It's a great name. We'll talk about that in a minute. But yes, tell us about badge bunnies because not everybody knows, and I'm sure my mother, who's 82 years old, doesn't have any idea what a badge bunny is. So again, let us all know. But please use some discretion because remember, mom's grading you.
Yes. No, I won't. I won't say anything. So badge bunnies are just like cop groupies, like people that want to date cops because they're cops.
Mm.
I think they think like things are wild with cops, and I think they'd find out that's wrong for the most part. So, but I like to think of them as home wreckers or also 911 dispatchers because a lot of dispatchers are badge bunnies.
Interesting.
Yeah.
There's Wayne Burfine. Hello, Wayne. Good to see you, friend. Add sriracha to mayo, you instantly become hot, hot, hot. Ye people in a party, hot, hot, hot. Yes. I have all these ideas for the cooking show, and we'll talk about that because that's further down the line. But let's talk about what's CPAP happening. So
Yeah.
you're going to do the entire show with your mask on, with the machine running?
Yes. Well, it depends because I'm using my backup machine because I have a newer one, but I feel like if it runs too long, it kind of starts to make like a howling noise, which is kind of annoying. So we'll see how annoyed people get. Maybe I'll just wear the mask without it on.
So, are badge bunnies as aggressive as puck bunnies? I don't know if
I
you
don't
can
know.
answer.
We should pit a badge bunny against a puck bunny. I'm guessing bunnies are hockey groupies.
Yes, and it reminds me because I have a sister who I love dearly, who married a hockey player who was also a fantastic human being. But my father, who passed away when my sister started following the hockey team down in Des Moines, the semi-pro team, the Iowa, whatever they were, Iowa Buccaneers, Des Moines Buccaneers, and they made the trip to see the team in, I don't know, Dubuque or someplace. My father started calling my mother and my sisters, who went along, started calling them puck bags. And lo and behold, my sister Betsy married a great guy, Paul Erickson, But Paul was a pretty good hockey player, and from Roseau,
Oh, well, that's like
because
hockey capital.
if you don't play hockey in Roseau, you're a girl.
I
I
bet the
mean,
girls are just as good at hockey players as the
I think the girls in Roseau could probably best some of the boys in southern Minnesota, if I'm honest. Yes, sir. Roseau Rams. Paul was on the team that won the state championship. Whenever it was that they won that, I don't know. I don't pay that attention anymore.
A couple years ago. Didn't they win again?
Well, he wasn't on there. I think they did, but this would have been in the what I don't. And my sister doesn't even have Facebook because she's older than me. She's not older than me. I'm the oldest, but she just doesn't have time for it, which is ridiculous. Facebook is a joy, unless you look at it. But I don't know. I can't recall. It must have been like 1984, 85, somewhere in that, 86, 87, in that mid 80s, late 80s kind of scenario. But
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, my sister, I guess, would have been considered a puck bunny. My father got a puck bag. I don't know. I'll say this. I don't know if my mother will get angry, but he also used another term. He called them the hockey whores. I'm just watching the comments to see if mom.
She lights up. It'll be exciting. I can't
I
wait.
hope I didn't light her up with that one. She's like, how dare you? No, my mom's pretty good. She's supposed to be working on. This is something else that my mom does, and I'm bringing up my mom because I want to talk about you and what you've been doing with your mom, Julie. My mom's gonna. She had a deal where she puts stuff in a jar and then you figure out how much is in it, and so that's going to be her contribution. She wants to start doing that, and then I give away a prize.
Like candy or like grains of rice? Like what?
Can't the last contest was how many mini Tootsie Rolls are in the jar, and then people could guess, and I gave away a $25 Amazon gift card. Don't be disappointed in me, Zach. I didn't do it. Good to see you, buddy. Thank you. Yeah, my mom's giving me a stick and everything. 1990. Well, Dusty, you know more about hockey than me. I don't know. But so, Julie, your mom has passed away, and one of the cool things I think that you're doing is sharing some very cool pictures of your mother and giving a backstory, and kind of explain a little bit how you decided you wanted to do this.
Well, in 2004, my mom came down with dementia like overnight. And so it was just very random. The Abbott said she has Alzheimer's, put her in a nursing home, end of the story. And I was like, you don't just wake up one day like out of your mind hallucinating. So at first, we thought my mom was faking it. Like I felt like she just checked out and was just tired of her 6 kids and was like, I'm done. I'm going to make something up. So ended up crying to my doctor, got her in to see this amazing neurologist, Dr. Porth. And she was like, she doesn't have Alzheimer's, but I don't know what she has. We're going to figure this out. So took her down to Mayo, which Mayo is incredible. It's like the Disney World of hospitals. Like everyone there is so wonderful. Turns out she had an autoimmune disease called Hashimoto's encephalitis. So that was what triggered the dementia. Like all of her nerves in her head were just like all the wires were all crossed and nothing was working. Like she could tell something was wrong, but she just couldn't get it out. So ever since then, it was very interesting dynamic with her. We ended up having to put her in a home, but she got kicked out of a nursing home for being a behavioral problem. So we put her in a small private home and they just loved her because she's always so funny. And then when she got the dementia, she was even more just like candid and off the rails and stuff like that. So it was interesting because she wouldn't remember certain parts of her life and she'd ask me to tell the story, but then she'd keep asking me like over and over to the point where I'd say, what did I just tell you? And then she could tell you. It's just like she wasn't that confident. So it was very interesting. So anyways, to make that long story longer, So I started sharing posts like when I'd go visit her and stuff like that, because she would just always say like the funniest things to me that just always cracked me up. Like, and she always thought that I was way younger than I was. Like, she'd be like, "How old are you?" And I'd be, "What do you think?" And she goes, "I think you're like 26." And I'm like, "Yeah, that's exactly how old I am, Mom. But you're like 20 years off, but whatever." So, anyways, I would share I shared pictures of her. So she died 2 years ago in March. So I shared pictures of her last October, every day in October, because her birthday was in October. And then I did it again this March because that was the month that she passed away. So just kind of a nice way to like share crazy stories with her. One of the things is I called her Luscious. That wasn't her real name, but one of the very first times, so after she got diagnosed, we had to go get monthly transfusion to stop the progression of the dementia. And so every time we went, she would ask if she was still married because she couldn't remember divorcing my dad. And I would say no. And so finally one day I was like, all right, let's get over Dad. Let's write a personal ad about you to get over this. So her personal, this is what she said, and I was writing it down. She said, "Meet luscious Flossie Bane. You men, you've never had such a delight as if you toast Flossie Bane's gills. Then when they come near me, I'll kick them in the crotch and say, you know I'm a good Catholic girl." It was when she started talking, she would just like it would make sense at first, and then it would just be like, I have no idea what is going on anymore.
Oh my gosh.
That's why I started calling her Luscious. I don't know what toasting the gills is. I'm not sure if that's like 1940s term or, but yeah. And also the more tired she was, she would add S's to the end of every word, which is interesting. And she would get super, super dirty where I was like, I would record all of our conversations and then she'd tell stuff about her and my dad. And I was like, nope, stop the recording. Like, I can't, nope, I don't want that saved for all eternity. So yeah, so it was a very interesting disease, but she made it another 14 years. She lived in a small home with 4 other residents. And we'd go over there a lot of times during the day, like during Price is Right. I love Price is Right, but if you watch it with a bunch of old people, it ruins it for you. Like there'd be like people arguing about like, yeah, you win that prize, but I bet you don't get enough time to enjoy everything. They're probably running you ragged. And then my mom would say things like, we'd just be sitting there and she'd be like, I think I had sex with that guy last night. And then you'd look and he had like 4 like Bibles in his walker. I'm like, I'm pretty sure you didn't. She's like, no, I think I did. I'm like, and he just like wheel out of the room, like not wanting to be like any part of my mom's shenanigans. So, yeah, so she was very funny, and it was just a good way to kind of like not only like show our relationship, but also the disease and how that kind of like changed things for us. So
yeah.
Yeah,
you know, I did home health care for about 3 years with Tommy and Shannon, and most of the people I worked with had dementia. The interesting thing about it is, in Carol's post too, her mother dealt with that as well, I think. One of the interesting things is it affects everybody differently.
Yes.
You know, there is no textbook case, and so the more you're with a person, the more you figure out how they work. And I'm sure that was the case with your mother. You knew exactly what she was going to do when she started doing stuff.
Yeah.
And after a certain amount of time, there probably was. There's one from Elizabeth.
Thanks, Elizabeth. Yeah, there was a time when we were early on when we were going down to Mayo to figure out what was going on with her, and I took her into the bathroom and I was cleaning her up and she started laughing her head off. And I was like, what is, like, I was already stressed because it's such a big facility. And she goes, I bet you never thought you'd be changing my diaper. And then she would just laugh. And it's like totally like breaking the tension, because you're like, yeah, you're right. Like there's nothing you can do but laugh in this moment, because, you know, otherwise you'd be pulling your hair out, like, you know, with all the stress of it and things like that. So, it also taught me, so when I take her for her infusions, afterwards, it's it's the same place where you go for like breast cancer. And so it's very draining on your body. And there'd be times like I could barely get her to the car and she would fall. And it's just one of those things where like you have to rely on people to help you because I can't always like pick her up and like help her get to the car because she's so frail and stuff like that. So there's one time she asked me to take her to my dad's grave. She said she wanted to pee on it. That was showing her respect. So I took her out there and we looked at it, and then she didn't have the strength to get back, so I had to have some guys come over and like help me. So it really teaches you that there's a lot of kindness out there and people will help you. You just have to learn to like rely on other people and not think you have to do it all on your own. So
Absolutely.
It's a good lesson.
Absolutely, and I can tell you it's so much harder for family members to be in that spot where you have to take care of your parent.
Yep.
I the spots I was in, I was in a spot, and I'll just make it short because I don't want it to be about me. But my last client that I had passed away in December, and his family, the closest one, lived in Kansas City. So I was his guy.
Yep.
I was his contact with anybody. And sometimes he'd confuse who I was, but he always knew it was me.
Yep.
But he sometimes thought it was somebody else. But
yeah.
point being, for me, it was easy because if he told me X or Y or Z, I didn't care.
Exactly.
Yep. And I think for family members, sometimes initially when the dementia sets in, they're busy trying to correct and say you're wrong, and it just confuses the person more and makes it more difficult. I mean, I had my client, man, it was so much fun. I'd get there when he had still lived in his house. He lived about a half a mile from a McDonald's. So I would get there at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and he would say, "Man, I really got a taste for some McDonald's French fries. Can we go over there?" And I'd say, "Yeah, why not?" So we'd go over to McDonald's. He never wanted to go in, but so I would go in, get some French fries, and we'd sit in the car and he'd eat them. And when we'd drive around the lake and go back home, and we'd sit there for a while, talk a little bit, maybe listen to the radio, and then he'd say, like 45 minutes later, "Man, I really got a taste for McDonald's French fries. Can we go get some French fries?" I'm like, "Sure.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, let's go get some French fries." And we did that whole same thing. And then typically 20 minutes before it was time for me to leave, he'd say, "You know what, gosh, I don't know why, but I really want some French fries." And I said, "I got to go. But how about if I go pick you some up and I'll drop them off before I leave?" "Oh, that would be awesome. Would you do that?" And I don't know how many times we did that.
Yeah.
But it just becomes that was his thing, until
well,
he had to.
Pleasures, like, I agree though with not trying to correct them because it's just too confusing, and if that's their reality, then that's how we live now. That's
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so we got a little bit off of the comedy track, but that's okay because this was very interesting and very worthwhile talking about. There's a couple questions I like to ask people. One, in the amount of time that you've been doing comedy, do you have any favorite hell gigs or real lousy shows that you remember?
I have a couple that so the very first time I did comedy, it was this guy. I got his name from Linda Ahrens. He wasn't on Facebook. I had to email him. And then he was doing a show. He'd do them at the VFWs. And so he told me to meet him at this VFW in South St. Paul. And so when I got there super early, I was sitting at the bar and I'm watching, and there's all these kids going on stage sharing stories about their grandma Ginny, who had just passed away, how they missed her hugs and their cookies. And I was like, what have I got myself into? Like, what is going on right now? And I was like, are we doing a funeral? Like, this is the craziest thing I've ever seen. So they actually like pack up and leave, and then we do the comedy show. And so I get on stage, and like probably like 3 minutes in, I get a horrible, horrible migraine to the point where I just like had to like wrap it up and leave. And then It was so bad I had to call my husband to come pick me up and take me to the emergency room. So I'm like out in the parking lot of the VFW, and it's like 7:30 in the summer, so it's like still daylight, but I'm vomiting, and I'm like, I'm sure a lot of people have vomited here, you know what I mean? But like mine's different. Had to go, spent like 6 hours in the ER. And it was a full moon, so the ER was just packed full of like crazies,
Oh,
which you appreciate if you're not having a migraine and wanting to just die. So it was just one of those things where I was like, why can't I appreciate this? Like, there's so much comedy gold here, and all I want to do is like stab my eyeballs out because I'm in such pain. So that was one of them.
oh.
Another one was, I think it was the same guy, and it was at the Prior Lake VFW. And the VFW refused to turn off the Twins game, which is always great, right? When they don't want to give up their TV. And then it was a buffet, so they would call people's names, and your microphone would break out while they're calling a family's name to come get their food. And then people decided they didn't want to walk around the room, so they would crawl. They'd go across the back of the stage while you're doing comedy. Families would get the food and they come back across. And I was like, are you kidding? Like, this is like, what is going on right now? And then another one was a guy who is a comic. I'm not going to say his name, but we talked about him earlier. Where it was just you and me. He asked me to do this show at his end of the summer party, and it was in his driveway. And I don't think he told his guests we were doing comedy, and there's no stage, so it was just like us like yelling from the driveway to other people. We didn't want to be part of a comedy show at all. So those are the things I think that just make you stronger as a comic, where you're like, if I can get through this, like I can get through anything. So
Oh my gosh. Those are good ones. Those are good ones. By the way, hello Ruth. Thanks for looking in. Um my gosh. It's so it's so interesting to me because as comics we all have those gigs where it's like, "Oh my god." And
yeah,
it's not that it's a bad show. It's not that it's that you've done anything wrong. It's just the situation is so terrible
yeah.
that there's no way it's going to be good.
And you can't make it up. Like if you tried to dream up that scenario of like your worst thing ever, you would never come up with those things. But that's why it's so funny, because you know that there's no getting around it. You just have to like, all right, this is what we're doing today. We're letting families come on stage with us, get their food. So
Oh my gosh.
yeah,
That's it yeah. It's just it reminds me of one of the first things I ever did, and it wasn't even paid. It was a fundraiser for a guy that had pancreatic cancer. And so I agreed to do it along with two other guys who I don't even think do comedy anymore, but one of the guys knew the guy, and it was when I got there it was full. So I thought, oh, this is going to be great, but it was full of kids anywhere from 2 years old all the way up to people that looked like they were 85 or 90,
yeah,
and the whole mix, and it was like, oh gosh. And
yeah.
so the idea was they would do karaoke, which was mostly the kids, and then between karaoke we would do these comedy sets, 15, 20 minutes, half hour, I can't remember what it was. And the guy that has pancreatic cancer says, make it as dirty as you want to. I'm the one dying, I don't give a shit. And I'm like looking, and I'm like, So the one guy goes up and he does his normal stuff, and people are looking at him like he just gutted a cat on the stage, you know? And I'm going, oh God, what am I going to do? And thankfully back then, because my act was not great, I used to have a pair of Elvis sunglasses, and then I would do Elvis because I used to do Elvis singing telegrams, and I was a guy that wanted to be Elvis in the dinner theater, right? So I tell the karaoke guy, just to be safe, do me a favor. When I start, why don't you line up 4 or 5 Elvis songs just in case? And the little kids are sitting on the stage. And I tell my first joke, and it's like, there's no way I can do this without not actually doing the joke. So
Yeah.
I look over, I do my I'll do my Elvis thing a little. So man, go ahead and play me a couple of songs, and then I do, and the old people are loving it, and the kids are thinking, hey, it's music, and it's like, man, I'm sure glad I got out of that. But I just was like, I'm not going to do that ever again.
Yeah. Especially with kids. Like that's always tricky when kids are there. Like if it's older people, I mean, you know, a lot of times I will look at an audience and be like, oh, these people are not going to like me. And they're the best laughers.
Yeah.
When it's kids, I always get so worried because it's like, what do you know, what can you say? What can't you say? Like, how do you clean everything up so that there's like no awkwardness for a child?
Very, very difficult to do. Very difficult. All right. So we talked about bad ones. Tell me about one or two of your absolute most favorite shows.
I would say one of my favorite shows was our last open mic at Joke Joint because it was just like a big group of like all the people that I'd gotten to know over the years and I got to put it on and stuff like that. Another thing that, and I want to post the video because I did videotape it. I am not a drinker at all. I've always had migraines, so I've never been a drinker. And I drank more that night, which was like 3 Long Island Iced Teas that I've ever drank. So it was a lot of like spinning on stage and then like forgetting what I was going to say and then like shouting to my husband for a punchline kind of thing. Like, complete train wreck, but I didn't care because it was the last night and I was closing the open mic. So I did not care one bit.
That's awesome.
That would be one of the funnest ones. Another one I did, a casino one, a couple casino ones that were good. One was at, what's the one? Danbury Casino.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And one time I did that, I did a show there and I took a headliner up there to do that one and it was horrible. And the hotel is like, people are like walking, pacing the floors all night. It's crazy. But the last one I did there with Chuck was amazing. There were so many people there. And it was just really fun. Like people that wanted to hang out and talk and stay with you for a long time. And then when I went on to do the Black Bear one the next night, these people rode their bicycle from Danbury to Black Bear. Just
oh my God.
Do it again. Where I was like, because they were on a bike tour from Colorado.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So they rode their bikes from Colorado, but I was like, first of all, I wouldn't ride my bike down the street. Definitely wouldn't ride it to a casino and then another casino like that much farther away. So that was interesting. And then another one I did at the Black Bear Casino was with, I can't think of his name. He's from Texas, JR something.
JR Brow?
Yes. So we did a show at Black Bear, and it was like I've never seen the place so packed in my life. Like it was one of the last shows they did there, and it was amazing, and everyone loved him, and it was so fun to be at a casino show where people were happy to be there and not sad that they've lost everything on the casino floor.
Yeah.
So anytime it's good at a casino, it's like makes me happy because I feel like people are in a good place.
Carol has a question for you. Julie, problem with hecklers at all?
I don't think I do, but I think it's because I don't, like I just am like so focused on doing my thing that I don't even pay attention to them. There was one time though, I was at the VFW showcase and I had gotten there late because I had something else going on. And I noticed that this guy in the front was just like heckling everyone. And when I went up there, he was heckling me and I just like went off on him. And people were like clapping and I was like, I mean, I didn't think I needed clapping, but it was just, my husband's like, I've never seen you do that. I'm like, I've never seen you do that either. Like, amazing. I want to tell everyone off now. So.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So yeah, I usually just don't pay attention. I'm like so focused on what I'm going to do that I don't feed into it.
Well, in your act too, for people that haven't seen you yet, and I'm after we get done here, I'll ask for if you've got a website or places where people can come and look at some of your material. You kind of your material, your delivery is such that there's not a lot of space for hecklers.
No, a lot of mine, because they're not stories either. It's like kind of, because when I first started doing the workshop, it was, they always tell you like condense it down, like set up punchline. And I've always kind of stuck with that. It's more like one-liners.
Yep.
So yeah, so I think that's probably why too, is that it's like very like concise and not very much storytelling. So
Yeah, a lot of people that I notice, a lot of people leave spaces, a lot of people that are, um, you know, not necessarily as quick with their delivery. They're the ones that seem to get hecklers. Of course, it doesn't. I mean, and a lot of times people that are not. I see this a lot too, where people act like they want to do crowd work, but they really don't want to do crowd work. They
yeah,
just want to ask a question to get to a joke.
yeah,
And I mean, the reality is you could just do the joke and not ask that question, but they want to get that connection.
yeah,
And so when they ask a question and somebody answers, they've opened the door to having people talk. And then when they don't want them to talk, but they ask another question, and people are really ready, but they didn't want them to. It becomes a big mess.
yeah. It can really derail what you're doing. And for me, I think when I talk to the crowd, I get so sidetracked that I forget what I'm gonna talk about next. Like it's like total attention deficit where I'm like, all right, I guess that's out the window now. We just figure out what to do from here.
Absolutely, absolutely. Okay, so one of the things I want you to do, Julie, when we're done, is I want you to put your link in the comments here for League of Funny, so people can go and watch that, because that's a good little podcast that you got going on with your friend. I can't and tell me what her name is. Oh gosh, are you locked up on me? Am I locked up on you? I don't know who's locked on whatever. We got a little bit of a problem there, but anyway. Is that me? I don't know. If it's not me, please somebody make a comment and say, no, I can see you going fine, John. Or if I'm locked up, please let me know. It happens sometimes because of the internet. But, oh my goodness. I got a feeling this one's me. Which is crazy. Just looking. Oh, thank you, Carol. I knew one of us is. Okay, thanks, Maureen. I knew. So Julie is apparently locked up on me here, which is unfortunate. Oh, here she came back. Whoops. There we are. There you are. There you are. Somehow it locked up, and that's fine. Here you are. Thank you. And I. So that part of the since this was a live stream, that part of the show where I was confused. You guys will just have to live with that, which is fine by me. Fine by me. I don't know. I didn't even know what I was saying.
We were talking about hecklers and getting sidetracked.
Oh.
That's the last thing I remember.
Oh, yeah. Well, nobody's heckling us now, so I guess that's fine. I've been pretty lucky. I think a lot of times people don't heckle me because they're afraid of me. You know. And although I've had people say stuff to me after.
Oh, really? Like
I had, so I do tell some stories about some of my experiences doing home health care. Maureen, you can cut it out. You know. Doing home health care, and I had, and I can tell you this, for the most part, if there is somebody who is in the healthcare field, after the show, they usually come up to me and say, "Oh my gosh, you are so dead on." And part of the problem is, if you're in the healthcare business, there are so many funny things that happen. I mean, there truly are, and you're kind of bound by not saying things. The HIPAA laws, of course, you can't identify somebody directly, which I never do. But the biggest problem is, if you say something about something that happened, sometimes people think you're making fun of the patient, which is not the case.
Yeah.
It's the situation, and you know this as well as I do. You ask anybody whose parent or family member is dealing with this, it's not the same person. If it's dementia, if it's Alzheimer's, that is not the person that they knew.
Yep.
The disease has taken over, And while parts of that loved one are still there, it isn't the same person.
Yeah.
And when they are comfortable with that fact, then it's easy to laugh about it. Some people that don't know that, don't have a family member, don't have the experience, think you're just making fun of the patient.
Yeah.
And for some people who are fresh to the experience, they're not happy with it at all. So after a show, I had a fella start yelling at me about how you shouldn't make fun of old people. I wipe my mama's butt every day, he says to me. And I said, well, I'm happy that you can do that. I didn't want to get an argument with him. But in my mind, I'm thinking, well, really? You want to play one-upsmanship here?
Yeah.
I got a guy that won't stop playing with himself every time I help him take a shower. Who's the winner? Who's the winner? Me. I'm the winner.
And also, you would think those people would be able to relate to you because they know the struggle of dealing with someone that needs additional help.
Yeah.
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 You'd think they'd be able to relate, and that would add some kind of laughter to what's already kind of stressful for them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, I know what I was going to say before you locked up. What I want you to do when we get done is I want you to put down in the comments, I want you to put a link for League of Funny so that people can go and watch that and follow you there. I want people to follow you. Do you have a web page?
Yes, I do have a webpage. It's not very well updated, but I do have.
Doesn't have to be well updated. Nobody's as well updated now. All the shows are freaking blank. But please put that in there. Is it an easy one? Is it juliebane.com?
Yes.
Hot dog, I knew it. juliebane.com. Please check her out, find her there, and on Facebook and social media. You can track Julie down in my friend list, and please friend her and follow her because she is a very nice person, a funny person, and I want you to support her too. Just like I want you to support everybody that I have on here. And here's a funny thing. I don't know about you. It's like I know so many people, and I'm so lucky to know so many people from doing this that are really cool people. And it's nice to be able to talk to somebody a little bit more than we normally would talk than if we were at a show.
Exactly.
And so I appreciate you taking the time to do this with me, Julie.
Oh, for sure.
And
That's kind of why we started League of Funny too, was to kind of showcase other comics and authors during this downtime that kind of raise awareness of, funny people that are out there and who you can go support.
Yeah. And there's plenty. And as I say at the end of every time that we do this, if you see a virtual open mic, thank you, Carol. You're very kind. We're happy that you, and I appreciate your support more than you know, Carol. Along with everybody that watches, because I always say, you people that watch us, you have absolutely no reason to.
Yeah.
And I just can't tell you how much I appreciate it. But if you see an open mic, if you see somebody playing music online, if you see somebody reading a book online, which, by the way, I've been thinking about because I don't get to see my grandkids as much, and I'm thinking about maybe starting to read books to them via this thing. But except I'll have to have a persona. I'll be Captain Johnny because I got a captain hat. Anyway, point being, any of that, please, at the very least, give it a like as you go by. If you have the time to stop and watch it for even a little bit, you don't have to watch the whole thing, but if even for just a little bit, so that they know that they're doing something, that they're connecting with people, because all of us creative people are having a pretty hard time right now because we don't have an outlet. And so if you see somebody, help them out, make them feel good about what they're doing, make them feel like, there is some value to what they're doing, because that's another thing that a lot of us that do comedy or music or anything else that's artistic for that matter don't make a whole hell of a lot of money doing it.
Yeah.
And while we're not saying please, please, please give us money, what I am saying is please make everybody feel valued. That would make me feel great if you would do that for everybody. To that end, if you've got any kind of live comedy that you're watching, that you're streaming, I have a new Facebook group set up. It's called Facebook Live Comedy. And the whole reason that I'm doing that is because I just want anybody that's doing this to have more eyes on what they're doing. Join the group, post any live streams you do there, and just keep spreading the word. And hopefully, we'll get 15, 20,000 people on there. I think there's 20 on there now. And, but it'll grow. And hopefully, by the time it's huge, we won't need it anymore.
Yeah.
So, anyway, having said that, Julie Bane, you are an awesome human. I thank you so much, and it was just so much to talk with you about everything. I appreciate it very, very much. Tomorrow at 1 o'clock, I have the absolutely fantastic, long-time, legendary comic in the Twin Cities, Michael Thorne, is going to be on with me, and if I can keep that one under an hour, I will be lucky because Michael has so many stories, and I can't wait to hear him. So, folks, thanks again for watching, Julie. Thank you so much. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.